So we've poached off this chicken, it's organic chicken, for roughly an hour, just skimming it off as we go along, and we're going to just remove it from the water, which has now got some really good nutrients in it as well. You can see it's just breaking apart, really succulent. We're going to leave that to cool down for about 20 minutes before we take the meat off, and then we're going to put the carcass back into the stock and keep that cooking for a while, and then we're going to come back to this once that's all done to assemble the chicken noodle soup, which is my favourite all-time recipe, I think, at the moment. Okay, so what we're going to do now is a chicken noodle broth, which for my money covers all the bases nutritionally. It's fantastic this time of year, really, really easy to digest, and has got some amazing properties for everybody, for wellness and for the athlete as well. And the base of the broth is the chicken stock that we poached the chicken in earlier. So that's been going for quite a bit longer, and what we did is we removed the meat from the carcass. And the thing I like about poaching a chicken is that you get so much meat off the carcass, it's really easy to strip it. And then we return the carcass to the stock, and we kept that going for quite a while. The longer the better, really, if you chop the bones up a little bit, and add a couple of tomatoes in there just to help create a bit of acidity to get the goodness out of the bones. So now we're at the really easy bit. We've made the stock, we've got the chicken cooked, and the simple part is just to assemble the dish, really. So I'm not going to use all of the stock, but I'm just going to start this going, start adding in some flavour. The good thing about this is not to get too hung up about the ingredients, really. Just use what you've got to hand. You can't really go too far wrong with this. But that's some lime leaves. I'm putting in some kaffir lime leaves. And then some finely chopped garlic and ginger. It's going in. And then a couple of sticks of lemongrass, which if you just remove the outer leaves, just get to the sweeter bits inside. Just give those a crack with the flat of a knife or a pan or anything like that. Get those in, get some more stock going into here. Basically, we're just building up the flavour of this. I'll keep putting stock into it. The next thing, I'm really lucky enough to be able to get this. This is fresh turmeric or turmeric root. And what I find about turmeric root, you can get this if you've got a local Asian supermarket. I'm lucky enough to have one right on the corner of my street. What I find about this is, first of all, that the flavour is so much more pungent than dried turmeric. And so it imparts that flavour. There's all the anti-inflammatory properties that we know about from turmeric as well. So what I do is just basically chop a couple of pieces of this. Again, smack it with the side of a knife just to squash it. You don't have to be too fussy about it. I'm going to wipe that down because it does stain. So the flavours are building up nicely. You just keep adding in some stock. I think there's 4 of us going to eat lunch today, so I need a fair bit. Then the next thing to add, it's a bit of a cheat really, but it's some tom yum paste, which has got a lot of these things in it already, but I like to have a nice depth of flavour. Instead of this, you could use some live miso, which I use quite a bit as well. If you don't like your food too spicy, then a live miso would be excellent, and about the same amount. So I'm just stirring in a dessert spoon of that. And already you can, if you had smelly vision, you'd get the aromas of that hitting you. Really nice smells coming off it. And like I say, this really is just an assembly job. You don't need to spend too long doing it. I'm going to put some noodles in. And the noodles I'm using at the moment are these soba pumpkin and ginger rice noodles, which I just really like. They've got a good bite to them. They taste nice. But you know, experiment with noodles. You can't really go far wrong. They only take about 5 minutes. Like I say, there's a few of us today eating, so I'm going to put 4 of these in, 1 bunch of noodles each. If you're training for fat loss, you probably wouldn't want to have too many noodles, but it depends how close it is to your training that you eat them. So you know, just play it by ear really. But we're not. This is a winter lunch for us. So then I'm just going to add in some of the poached chicken. Might just break it up a little bit more. Again, there's no amounts here. Just kind of playing it by ear really. That's about enough, pretty good. Lots of aroma coming off that. And let's get some greens in there as well. I've got some bok choy. If you don't leave it in there too long, it stays quite crispy and crunchy, which I like a bit of bite to this. Just layering in nutrition, as with all the stuff that we're doing. That's beginning to go really well. Put in some spring onions. And then I've got here some basil and some coriander. I'm not going to be too fussy about. Give it a good quick chop. You could tear the basil in. This is regular basil. I couldn't get any sweet basil this morning, but if you can, some Thai sweet basil would be fantastic for this. Just going to hold on for a couple of minutes. The other thing that go really well in this broth is some mushrooms, but my mum's here today and she's having lunch with us and she doesn't do mushrooms, so I'm going to leave these out until we've served up my mum, and then we'll just put some in at the end. But these smaller mushrooms are absolutely ideal because they don't really need cooking. The moment they hit the hot liquid, they'll be fine good to go basically. Okay, so it's just we've just left it cooking through for a couple of minutes, and we're just going to add a final couple of touches, which is to add the juice of a lime or two. The more the better as far as I'm concerned, but it really is to your taste. It just kind of sharpens it up. It's really good. And then a good slug of soy sauce. So you could add a little bit more when you serve it up at the table if you wanted to. And then the very last thing, to add in those herbs, the basil and the coriander. Just get those in. They don't really need very long at all. It's looking really, the smell is fantastic, and the colours are just amazing as well. And as you can see, there's a lot going on here. It's not just an empty broth. There's a lot of food in there. So let's just give it a try, make sure everything's okay. That is, for something that's just been cooked in 5 minutes, that's absolutely stunning. It just tastes amazing. Lovely. Good stuff.